Hola! This video is my reproduction of a French video made by Ghis and posted with English subtitles September 8, 2018 on Yes, There Is a Solution. The video is It's the Slave That Makes the Master, and the link is found below. Hola, from Colombia. With the present great world confusion, I wish to do my part to accelerate the evolution of human consciousness. Please help by subscribing and sharing these videos. Thank you. Today, we will talk about humanity. A humanity that's at a dead end, an impasse without a way out. After centuries of fighting for more social justice, we all find ourselves in a state of complete slavery. Money rules completely. When I say money, I mean the banks and multinational corporations. They control the entire world. But how? By controlling politics, the economy, and the society. They control the politics by passing the laws that they want. Big money pushes the laws that they want passed and imposes them by force. The force of the police, the military, the courts, and the prisons. They control the economy because money is created out of thin air. In this way, they cripple with death entire countries and individuals, impoverishing them and bringing them to their knees. How does big money control society? By means of the state. They have complete control of health, education, and the media. The citizen today, whether it's the parent or the child, is the property of the state. The rights and freedoms that should be guaranteed by the Constitution are removed. The Constitution is scoffed at. Nothing more holds up anymore. People mutter angrily. They're not happy. And this applies to all the countries. People protest, sign petitions, participate in demonstrations. They plead, but nothing changes. Yes, this is nothing new under the sun. There has always been a minority that dominates and exploits the majority. There have always been abuses of power, social injustice. There have always been sexual abuses, pedophilia, and sacrificial rituals. The rich have always gotten richer and the poor always gotten poorer. So what's happening? Now with the pandemic, many people are fed up. People are fed up because there's a massive exacerbation from the shepherd. It's important to understand that there's a tacit contract, a basic tacit contract where the citizen slave agrees to give up part of their freedom in exchange for security and protection from daddy state. Well, the balance of this contract is broken. There is no freedom anymore. And it's now 100% slavery. To the extent that we are now at the point of transforming the human being into a biological robot that is controlled mentally by the technology of artificial intelligence. It's over the top. It's the end of humanity. To grasp the situation, let us go to see the sheepfold. The sheepfold is a prison with very high and thick walls all around. These walls have different names: the matrix, the network. For the fish, we call it the fishbowl. For the sheep, it's called the sheepfold. In all cases, we don't leave it alive. It's a prison of death. There is only one law that prevails in this prison. Big fish eat the small fish. There is a theater play unfolding in this prison. It's important to understand it's a world of illusion. We are in a theater play with three characters: the sheep, the wolf, and the shepherd. Each plays his role. The sheep is a poor victim. He's poor, a victim, and of course, very scared of the wolf. He has to be scared of something, so he's frightened of the bad wolf, and to protect him from the bad wolf, the good shepherd is brought in to protect the sheep. The sheep represent the people who believe that the private sector, the wolf, is bad, and the public sector, the shepherd, is good for him. That is the theater play unfolding in the sheepfold, where each player has a very specific role, which never changes. After all, it's a theater play. The sheep holds the main role. So, what is a sheep? A sheep is a fearful animal. It goes without saying, fear is a typical feature of the sheep. A sheep is a fearful animal, which means that the outside can manipulate him. We can make him do whatever we want. But how? By brandishing the wolf, we scare the sheep, and then we can have him do whatever we want. The sheep is also the cornerstone of the hell on earth. In what? In that he is the only one that produces something. He produces energy, work, wool, and flesh. The other two characters in the theater play don't produce anything at all. The wolf eats the sheep, and the shepherd shears the wolf of the sheep. So it is fundamental to understand that the sheep holds the main role. And if there are no more sheep, obviously, there's no more wolf or shepherd. The sheepfold automatically disappears. Therefore, you can understand, since the sheep is the cornerstone, there is connivence. It is obvious there is connivence between the wolf and the shepherd, who work together to keep the sheep ignorant of its true nature and completely unconscious of what is going on. How do they do that? Well, they call him citizen. They give him this nice name that sounds good. Since the revolution, they call him citizen and make him believe that he has rights. Rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution. And even more than that, they manage to make him believe that he lives in a democracy. Democracy means that it is the people who command, who govern. Therefore, the sheep thinks that it's him who governs. Imagine, this lie actually works. So what happens then? Well, they manage to keep the sheep as a slave. He agrees to be a slave. Nowadays, the sheep are angry because they are powerless, facing a shepherd who is a dictator with absolute power, who doesn't respect the essence of the deal: freedom against protection. The sheep make proposals. They use various tactics to try and discharge the shepherd and replace him with a better one. The sheep know that they represent 99% of the population, so it's the people who should be sovereign. The old proverb, strength in numbers. So they say, let's get together, we'll find a solution. But they don't manage. All proposals end up in failure. Actually, the sheep don't even work together. They criticize each other. And why? Well, they can't reach a consensus because all the sheep in the sheepfold operate under the ego, the externalized ego, the external government of ego. There is no solution within the sheepfold other than death, which finally frees us from the hell on earth. Humanity's greatest challenge today is to leave the sheepfold without dying. Who will take this initiative? Of the three characters in the theater play, there is only one who can take this initiative, and it's the sheep. Why? Well, because the sheep is the cornerstone. We saw it earlier. The cornerstone of the prison that is the sheepfold. The sheepfold exists because of the sheep. Secondly, it's the sheep that has the most to lose in this theater play. Therefore, the sheep will emancipate. In freeing himself, he will put an end to the theater play. So how can he free himself? Well, let's not wait for the shepherd in order to allow the sheep to free himself. The shepherd will never do it. How will the sheep proceed? The sheep will first and foremost discover who he is. What is his true nature? And ask himself the question, who am I? He will realize that he is not a sheep, but actually a winged mare. The unlimited creator, the supreme being, creator of the universe. That's who he is. After all, he will become who he is. And how will he be able to become? To transform from a sheep to a mare. He will first have to die to the sheep, which means let go of all its possessions, its habits, everything he learned to do, and get rid of all of that. Let go of all its attachments. So it's the death of the sheep that allows the sovereign mare to emerge, because the sovereign mare is already inside. This can be compared to the caterpillar that becomes a butterfly. The caterpillar doesn't become the butterfly just like that. It goes through a cocoon. What happens during the cocoon phase? The demolition of the caterpillar. From this demolition of the caterpillar, the butterfly emerges. It is the same thing for the sheep. The sheep has to go through an ego demolition phase in order to allow the sovereign soul, the supreme being, the winged mare, to emerge and manifest. So it's a radical transformation of human nature. In this way, Personocratia is born. Personocratia is a consciousness. It is the consciousness of every person who remembers who she is, a winged mare, and behaves as such in her everyday life. This transformation will happen in 3 steps. The first step is the decision. The decision to let go of the sheep and let the sheep die. This decision, the decision of death of the sheep, is a decision of transfer of power. It's not the ego that's running my life anymore, but it's my sovereign soul running my life. It's a shifting of the directional will of my life. The second step is what is called the phase of the individual sovereignty, which is the intermediate equivalent of the cocoon, of the caterpillar that becomes a butterfly, which means the gradual demolition of the ego until there is no more fear, no more prison. Once this happens, the last step begins, which is the stage of the universal solidarity of the winged mare. The stage of the winged mare, where the change in the body begins to manifest, and now all the sheep are conscious of who they are and they can finally unite. There is no more fighting, no more fear, and no more danger. It's absolutely invincible. And this allows the universal solidarity into love. This famous love and liberty or freedom that is so desired. Once this has been attained, it is the death of the ego and the release from prison. We always ask ourselves the question, what will happen? How will this look like? This is the mental body, the mental ego that wants to control what's going to happen. There is no need to ask that question. Everything will follow automatically, and heaven on earth will manifest. In conclusion, yes, humanity is in a crisis, but a particular crisis. It is in fact an evolutionary crisis. Humanity's evolution from the old species towards a new species where there's no more animality. Therefore, this exacerbation that we are subjected to by the bad shepherd and big money in general All this exacerbation has a meaning. It's an evolutionary necessity. We can even go to the point of saying thank you to our generous donors. It's a genuine revolution, a revolution of consciousness. It's the citizen teenager who decides to become a sovereign adult. In this way, there is no more separation between authority and obedience. The war is over, and this is how we will know inner peace and world peace on earth. Let us rejoice and hurry up and evolve. The time has arrived to choose and make a decision. Transformation or robotization. Decide or decease. Infinite love.